Okay, bad news about vitamins. Good morning. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the latest updates on vitamins. And I'm going to read kind of verbatim some of the recent research that's come out on vitamins. But before I do, I'm going to give you a summary of what this video and this research is showing. And it's a little bit disappointing, and it can be confusing until you spend a few minutes really understanding the details. And so let me give you a bit of introductory background. There's lots of research, and I think many of us believe that vitamins in general are good, and maybe, like Linus Pauling said, maybe high doses are even better. Now, I think we've got the hint that some vitamins at high doses are definitely bad, and you may have heard, maybe you've heard it secondhand, or maybe you've seen it happen in the grocery store, that vitamin A is a little dangerous and potentially deadly at high doses. And the colloquial story about getting too much vitamin A is that if you kill a polar bear and eat its liver, you'll die from vitamin A poisoning because the polar bear liver has so much vitamin A. I might not have heard that too, but in any event, we know that there are at least some vitamins, some minerals, that although they're great for us in general, high doses can be toxic. Excluding those few, though, we can kind of harken back to Linus Pauling's idea, where he said, this PhD, Nobel Prize winning specialist, that vitamin C was good for us. And not only vitamin C was good for us, but lots of vitamin C was really good. And again, I don't know if you recall these claims or whether you might actually hold some of these ideas, but that maybe vitamin C in 500 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams or 10 grams, 10,000 milligrams a day might be good. And if you've ever tried it, you get the orange or bright yellow urine, and there's been big fights about that. But there's this underlying idea that I'd like to talk a little bit about this morning, and that is that many vitamins are good for us in high doses. And there's a lot of research that kind of gave hints of this, which I'm then going to kind of dash your hopes. But let's give you the introductory research first. The introductory research goes like this, that to start off with, lots of research studies have shown that if you measure the bloodstream and look for different vitamins, there's lots of diseases that seem to be less common when you have more vitamins in your bloodstream. So less heart attack with more vitamin E, less heart attack and stroke with more vitamin A, beta carotene, things like that. Less cancer, heart attack, and stroke with more B vitamins. You may have heard of somebody, or maybe even you have gotten from your doctor, a B12 shot, with the idea that it's somehow good for you to get extra B12. And the flip side of this is many of us know that there's some real dangers to getting too little of vitamins and minerals. So you can have B12 deficiency, and you may know that's very dangerous and potentially deadly. Folate deficiency, vitamin that's potentially serious. Thiamine deficiency, potentially deadly and serious. So with this idea, there's been research to show that too little vitamins can be bad. Generally, within the normal range, higher blood levels of vitamins are good. And then there's another line of research that shows that if you ask people what they've eaten and then analyze the vitamin content of what they've eaten, those people that are eating more of different vitamins often have lower rates of cancer, heart attack, and stroke. So this led lots of doctors and lay persons to believe that supplementing with additional vitamins might be good. Kind of makes sense. And so you may remember there was a lot of people pushing extra vitamin E many years ago, but now you don't hear much about that. You may remember that 5, 10, and 15 years ago people pushed extra vitamin A and beta carotene, and now you don't hear much about that. Recently, there's been a big push on B vitamins, and there's a relatively tortuous, complex explanation of why, but B vitamins seem like a really good idea. They're pretty safe, we think, and why don't we give extra B vitamins? And sometimes people, without even thinking about it, are taking extra B vitamins. You can find them in the form of stress tabs or B12 at Walmart in the grocery store. Well, this morning I'm going to go over some bad news, which is in a line of bad news suggesting that supplemental vitamins not only don't really help in many cases, but may be actually harmful. And so that's kind of the bad news. And at the end of this, we'll get into the good news, which is eat a healthy diet is probably the best thing you can do. So let's look at one of these topics, and we'll try and go into more detail on this. But basically, this study is called the treatment with folic acid plus B12 was associated with an increased rate of cancer. Right? Cancer incidence and mortality after treatment with folic acid and vitamin B12. Cancer incidence and mortality after treatment with folic acid and vitamin B12. And this is from the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2009, so it's a recent study. And basically, concern has been raised, they say, about the safety of folic acid in cancer. And so the objective of their study, they state, is to evaluate the effects of treatment with B vitamins on cancer outcomes and all kinds of mortality in 2 randomized controlled studies. So the combined analysis and extended follow-up participants from 2 randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials, the Norwegian vitamin trial and the Western Norway B vitamin intervention trial. And this included 6,837 patients with heart disease. And they were treated with placebos or B vitamins between 1998 and 2005. So big study, thousands of patients, really well designed, so it's likely to be correct. And what they did is they intervened by giving one group of patients 0.8 milligrams of folate a day, not a super high dose, and B12 0.4 milligrams a day, pretty high dose, or placebo. Okay? And they measured the incidence of cancer, cancer death, and all kinds of death in the 2 groups, those who got the vitamins and those who did not. During the study, the median serum folate concentration increased 6-fold, so that they looked at the blood level and they looked at people taking the folate, and their blood level of folate increased 6 times, not 6% or 60%, but 600%, 6 times higher. So lots of folate getting into these patients. And after 39 months of treatment, an additional 38 months of post-treatment observation, 341 patients, or 10%, who received folic acid plus B12 versus 280 who did not receive such treatment were diagnosed as having cancer. So if you got the extra folate and B12, which we would hope would make you better, 10% of people got cancer as opposed to only 8% who did not. Wow. I'll do that again. They looked at the 2 groups. Some of the patients randomly got a sugar pill, nothing. The other group got folate and B12. And we know they took it because the B12 and the folate went way up. Okay? Then they followed them for 36 months, like 3 years, while they were taking the medicine, and about another 3 years afterwards. So an average of 6 years. During that time, 10% of the vitamin group got cancer. And 8.4% of the placebo group got cancer. Lung cancer was the big increased risk, and we could go into more details, but basically treatment with folic acid plus vitamin 12 was associated with increased cancer outcomes and increased the death rate in patients who had this treatment in this study in Norway. Okay. We're going to do a bunch more studies like this. There's other studies which have come to kind of similar conclusions. But how can this be? we have lots of research showing if you have more B12 or if you eat more B12 type foods, you have lower incidence of cancer and heart attack and stroke and death. But when you give tablets, those patients don't do any better. And in this case, they actually did worse. We're not sure about the worst part, but in general, the take-home message is that the tablets of the vitamins don't seem to be as effective. Probably not because of the vitamins, but because the reason that you're getting the protection from those vitamins is what you're eating. So eating a healthy diet with fresh fruits, whole wheat, whole fiber, whole grain products, and lots of colorful vegetables has lots of B12 and folate and things like that in it. And so those vitamin sources seem to be the healthy source of the protection of the vitamins, and that the vitamin tablets by themselves are not a good choice. Now B12 is special. It's only found in meat, animal products, dairy products, and things like that. So that it doesn't appear from this research that we're saying that a strict vegetarian diet is necessary, but that kind of healthy Mediterranean type diet seems to be the foundation of good health. And the idea that we can make up for our bad diet by adding vitamins is really not supported. And we've got more videos on that. We'll do more on that to come, but that's our take-home message for this particular video this morning. Thanks very much.